The HMRC, or in this case, His Majesty's Customs and Revenue. This is the body in the UK that is responsible for collecting revenue, customs charges, and of course, enforcing tax charges. Now, we'll get onto that enforcement part later. But a lot of people this morning are talking about HMRC. And in particular, they are talking about it in response to a lot of the stuff that's recently been going on. Because we have had a lot of stories come out of not only really rich companies, but really rich individuals, guess what? Not paying their taxes. Tax evasion. Shocking, I know. It is a thing. It has historically happened for years and years and years. But tax evasion is something that happens a lot in the UK. A big, big portion of tax is not collected because of tax evasion. But HMRC is so understaffed. They are still going through cases that are over 10 to 15 year old. That's how much of a backlog they are trying to do and go through and sort out. So the answer really to a lot of these questions that people ask about tax and about HMRC itself is quite simply this. The thing that the HMRC needs more than anything is to be enlarged significantly. And this is one thing that Labour could absolutely do. So, before we get on to talking more about this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button. And of course, there is the Pony Club as well. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And like I say, please don't forget to hit the like and share button. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button as well. So, HMRC. Why does it need expanding? Why would this be good? Well, first of all, let's talk about the cost, because this is often the argument that comes up against expanding HMRC. The cost. Oh my God, look at the extra cost HMRC would incur if we were to expand it. Well, here's the thing. That is absolutely nonsense, because any person who goes to work at the HMRC instantly, within a year, gets back their own pay. In a year, they not only get back their own pay, but they also are able to bring in more tax. This has been a known fact for years, but most of these people who use that are, of course, the free market fundamentalists who say, oh, no, we can't go expanding the civil service. That would just be a really dumb idea, they say, even though time and time again, it has been shown that if you expand the civil service, guess what? You get rewards, because now the civil service can go out and do all sorts of different things. It doesn't have to be reliant on one small department. They can actually work through things and, take their time and look at projects. They don't have to all, hurried through things, or there's just this large stack of papers while they have to focus on this one thing, and then things get ignored, and all sorts of stuff happens. So there is no excuse for not expanding HMRC on a level of, well, essentially cost. As we said, someone who goes to work for HMRC, guess what? They pay for themselves. And on the plus side, they end up bringing in more tax revenue. Now, in one of the recent cases, particularly the JCB one, we've just reclaimed, well, HMRC did a deal to reclaim over 500, I think it was over £500 million in unpaid tax revenue from that particular company. or at least I think it was from the owners, or I can't remember the company itself, but it doesn't matter. But here's the thing: HMRC did a deal. Why did it do a deal? Because, as we have said before, rich people have a lot of resources. At the end of the day, they do not want to pay the full amount of tax, and they are prepared to spend as much money as possible not to actually pay that tax. So, even with HMRC legitimately having, of course, its enforcement of tax rules be in place, decided to, rather than go through all the court system and generally waste public money in trying to get this guy to pay his taxes, it was better to do a deal. Now, a lot of people disagree. A lot of people disagree when HMRC does this. But can you blame them? When they have such small departments, such small enforcement powers as well, then what can you do? And this is where we can look at the other parts, because not only should we expand the workforce in the HMRC, but we should also expand powers within the HMRC. So, for example, let's say they have to take another JCB-like company or owner of JCB to court. Let's say we pass a rule saying if HMRC takes you to court and it is for a X amount of money, well, then that now gets added to your tab. So now HMRC can take you to court, take you through all this process, and guess what? That just gets added to your tab. This then would make, running HMRC into the courts, because sooner or later they will give up or they will just offer you a deal, that would make it sort of really fruitless. The other thing that I think should be done within HMRC is specifically setting up a task force for these big cases. And we've got to look once again over to America, where they have the Treasury Department, where they have Treasury agents and officials who have not only power to arrest, power to search records on the spot. I think they can pretty much walk into a business and say, "We want to see your books. Open them up now." From what I believe, they also have power to arrest and what's it? I can't remember what the special term is called now, but it's like recuperate losses. So if they do go in and they do find evidence of tax fraud, etc., then immediately on the spot they can just go, okay, they owe this amount of money. That's ours. That belongs to the government revenue now. So it would make sense to have a specialist department within HMRC to specifically go after these big cases. Not only go after the big cases, but have those similar-ish types of powers to be able to go after these people. So those are just a couple of things that we could do to expand HMRC and make it better. And remember, there's a lot of people out there who will, I no doubt, say, oh, this is why we need a wealth tax. This is why we need a wealth tax. Well, here's the thing. Who would end up administrating that wealth tax? Ultimately, would be HMRC. That means more work for HMRC, which, again, goes back to the first argument. It's saying why we should expand the HMRC. And, of course, if you don't give those powers, as we discussed in the power to HMRC, well, guess what? Rich people will go out of their way to avoid paying tax. This is, as goes back into ancient history, back to Roman times, of rich people, avoiding paying taxes. So bear in mind, if we did have a wealth tax, and go and read Professor Richard Murphy's blog on this, they would just avoid it. There are better taxes we could do to implement that would basically almost be a wealth tax that would be able to sort of tax sort of wealth a lot more efficiently. So I hope you sort of understand now why HMRC, particularly this morning, have been trending, and of course, why I will continue to make the argument that HMRC should be expanded, and especially powers of the HMRC should also be expanded as well. So let me know what you think down below, or how you've got your own ideas for HMRC. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.